Hello and welcome back, Internet friends. Today it feels like a return to our roots as we discuss Chaos Daemonhunter. This is a Warhammer 40k title that I feel sort of ghosted in, hidden in the warp shadow of Darktide, and now the Space Marines sequel. Unlike the rigid Sons of Guilliman that are the Ultramarines of the Space Marine series, here in Daemonhunter you'll be controlling a team of Grey Knights, the secretive military branch of the Ordo Malleus, the Inquisitors in charge of keeping the demons of the warp at bay. Right off the bat, I'll say this is a really good choice for this type of game, as the freedom with which the Grey Knights operate goes above and beyond the regular Astartes even, which are themselves still pretty free to fight the enemies of mankind however the hell they want. This freedom transfers to the player in the form of a campaign that feels a lot more freeform and less on the rails. The sound design gets the job done with a few pleasant surprises that I'll get to in a bit. The Space Marines are appropriately gruff. The tech priests beep and whir. The engines on your ship sound how you'd expect engines on your ship to sound, ignoring the whole vacuum of space thing. The storm bolters and power-infused glaives and swords all have a satisfying psychic crackle to them. Now what surprised me was the flavorful banter in battle. Yes, the Battle Brothers are all doom and gloom, my life for the Emperor and all that, but the enemies, particularly human cultists, offer a wider range of chatter. They'll bark threats and boldly proclaim the false Emperor's angels will fall, then break the tension with a hilarious, "I thought he was chosen," when you turn one of their friends into a pile of rotting meat. Also, provided you set your expectations to Gears of War and not The Last of Us, the voice acting is actually very good. I like the Inquisitor you meet early on. She conveys the weight and gravitas of her station without being too heavy-handed, a known issue for all Inquisitors. The thing to understand about the Warhammer 40k universe is that at its very core, it's a game meant to sell models and books. I felt that at times this leads to feeling that the rules for an army, especially a new and or popular one, start to feel like they're balanced by 10-year-olds playing with action figures. The Grey Knights, at least when I played, suffered from this heavily. Every member is a powerful psyker, every member is armored in Terminator armor, every member has a power weapon. This leads to boring army lists and eye-rolling lore entries, but it works for a video game. You are the Emperor's greatest gift to mankind, an unbreakable shield between Holy Terra and the madness-inducing Twisted Warp Spawn. You act as you see fit in his name, and any who ever witness your existence are met with memory wipes or death. In a universe where an entire company of Imperial Guard can be executed for the crime of simply fighting beside the Grey Knights, where orcs form war bands in the billions, and many Imperial officers probably have no idea how many citizens they hold authority over, it can be refreshing to be a knife thrust into the heart of darkness. So many 40k games focus on massive armies and waves of foes. The Grey Knights will often send a kill team of 4 knights to stop the corruption of an entire star system or sector. Now it's true that most Astartes legions will employ surgical strikes, but the Grey Knights take it to the extreme. If the Imperial Guard are a tank driven over the enemies of man, and the other Space Marine chapters are a hammer strike, the Grey Knights are a scalpel. Now I bet a lot of you came here expecting me to tell you this would be XCOM 2 with a Warhammer 40k coat of paint slapped on it, and I'll be honest with you, that's what I was expecting coming in here. And while there certainly is a lot of XCOM DNA here, I would actually liken Chaos Gate more to Battletech. It only seems natural as you're managing a ship and its resources, but you aren't a mercenary with mechs at your command, you're a commander in charge of Grey Knights. That being said, you'll still find yourself talking to the crew, researching things to improve your war gear or better understand the twisted minions of the Chaos Gods, as well as making technical improvements to the ship. These upgrades are pretty straightforward, and the benefits don't seem to come with a drawback like in Battletech. You can also choose how each knight advances down their particular calling. The skill trees were surprisingly expansive and more resembled the web of abilities from Neo 2 than the standard tree you'd go down in any old MMO. The skill trees are in-depth but straightforward. The one thing I found less obvious, and really the only thing I could have used more explaining in the tutorial about, was the differences in the classes you'll have. You don't need to know anything about 40k to guess that an apothecary is like a medic, but some of the other archetypes can be a little harder to guess based on name alone, although if you glance at their war gear, normally that straightens things out. It's just a minor gripe that the Grey Knight's even more Latin-y classes are tougher to understand for newbies than your vanilla chapter, which have like Scout, Tactical, and Assault Marines. The actual battles are an amazing mix of pretty much every turn-based game you've ever heard of. XCOM fans will recognize Overwatch, but there's also a mix of more aggressive focused games like Gears Tactics. In Chaos Gate, your psychic powers are powered by willpower, and the way you replenish this willpower is through killing enemies. This encourages a more aggressive style of play, as if you aren't killing enemies, your mana won't refill. There's also a warp surge mechanic, which is a very 40k thing. Too many psychers doing mind wizard things in a row, and eventually you'll start getting mind-bending issues with reality. So strike hard, don't hesitate, and don't forget, you aren't XCOM operatives. You're psychic space marines. Teleport, charge into melee range, and never forget, the Emperor protects. The levels are also fantastic. There are pillars and statues everywhere that you can knock over onto enemies. Explosive barrels are everywhere, but they aren't just your create a fire puddle, although that will happen. They are also places where a grenade or high explosive can rip walkways to shreds and transform the battlefield, dumping tons of foes to their doom. The game is a must-buy. It isn't just a reskin of popular turn-based games. It stands on its own, tall as one of the God Emperor's blessed warriors and Terminators. Until next time, I've been Septimus of the Grim Alliance, and you have been an amazing audience, I think.